Welcome to the Rundown. My name is Ryan.
And my name is Ray. And Ryan, how are you doing this week? You always ask me how I'm doing, how I'm feeling about my team. So we're gonna start off with you this week. How are you doing? How's your sports landscape looking right now?
Well, we're doing okay. We're doing okay. A little worried about some Green Bay free agency stuff. We'll talk about that a little later. But my Celtics, we're doing what we can. Bruins doing what they can. I will say though that today I went to like a hockey game, one of like the farm teams that is in my area, and they go into the New Jersey Devils. This is their farm team, the Thunder. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. Hockey is the most athletic sport of the four.
You have sworn by this for quite some time now.
It's true. I don't know any other way that you can think of it. They're doing everything that they do at basketball. I will say NBA is second, I think, but
But
hockey is first.
so who do you place in the four major sports? Who's last on the athleticism ranking hierarchy here?
Honestly, I think it's hockey, basketball, and football and MLB are tied for third because I
Tied?
tied. Yeah.
No. You don't think you have to be more athletic to be successful in the NFL
I think it
than
depends
Major
on
League
position.
Baseball?
I think it depends on position because I think it just requires different things than the MLB. But I think the MLB, I think gets a bad rap that they are not athletic. Like you can play in the MLB and
Neither,
not be athletic. And
neither,
I don't believe that
neither.
that's true. But I don't believe you have to have the same athleticism. Well, because the sport's different. For instance, I think a wide receiver is more in shape than a lineman. Like, have you ever seen a
Yeah,
lineman
they have to have.
pick up a fumble and run it back for a touchdown, or like a defensive lineman get some kind of turnover? They're sucking down oxygen by
Yeah, it's not pretty.
when they get off the
It's not the
field.
prettiest touchdown you've
It's
seen.
not. They're fun though. They may be my favorite ones to see, but it's not graceful here. So, like, I just think it's different based on position. But I feel like for hockey, you're doing everything you do on a basketball court in skates. I just don't know how they do it. I'm awed all the time. And then the goalies, oh my God, that flexibility is intense.
As a non-skater, I can't imagine what they do on the ice. It's actually crazy because I can't even stand up straight on skate. So to see them laying out, flying around, yeah, I could see you have an argument there.
I mean, it's crazy. As a sad skater, as a person who can barely skate, also just in complete awe of everything that's happening. I would say that I think people think hockey players are bigger than they actually are because of all the padding. They're actually more like lanky, I feel like. But it's intense. It's intense and I enjoy watching it. It's a very fast-paced game. The only thing I don't like about hockey is you do not need two intermissions. You don't need
Is
30
it
minutes
two?
of intermission. It's chill. You have a break
See, I
between
went
the
to
yeah.
I went to a Bruins Habs game a few years back in Montreal, and that was a great
Hmm.
experience. I had great seats. That was my first hockey game, and the seats were amazing. But the game was great. I don't remember there being two intermissions though. That is a little odd. I don't think
Yeah,
that's
between
necessary.
the first and second period and the second and third period. I don't like it. It's not my
Interesting.
favorite, but
Yeah.
that's really my only complaint.
Speaking of complaints, we had a lot of coaching changes
We
going
did.
on these last several weeks in the NFL. Let's get into it. What was the biggest one that was on your radar this week, Ryan?
I think the Bills promotion of Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, to head coach. I didn't like it move. Felt very lateral to me. I don't I don't
It
think
felt
it's going to
safe.
make yeah, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference if I'm honest.
In
So,
my opinion, if you were going to get rid of Sean McDermott, right, then you clearly wanted some kind of overhaul with the team in general. And like you said, that's a very lateral move promoting Joe Brady to be head coach. It just makes me wonder, where was the locker room against Sean McDermott? Was this a Sean McDermott thing? What do you think?
I mean, maybe, but that seems so odd. I mean, the man took them to the playoffs like I don't even know how many times.
Consistently.
Consistent. And I think that that move was a terrible move by the Bills organization. It wasn't one that I understood. I thought it was silly to do. And then for you not even to look outside the organization, for you to just come up from within, I didn't like that at all. It felt weird. The whole press conference with them, I didn't like. It was like, we got rid of him because of like, Josh Allen crying after the game. And I'm like, what does that even mean? What are you doing?
Did they say that?
Yeah. They said it was a combination of things, but it was like seeing Josh cry after the game. And I was like, um, he did not have a good game. That's not
He cried because he felt like he let his team down,
which
which
he did.
he did. Okay. So
I know
I
we
mean,
shouldn't be
and it's
laughing about that, but
no, it's
it's
not.
true.
We both had the same thought. That's why it was funny. And he has had games. Okay, realistically, Josh Allen has actually played quite well in the playoffs. His biggest problem is that he could continue to run into Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. That was his
Hmm.
biggest kryptonite. So a lot of I think his tears and frustration was because he looked around and said, three of his biggest quarterback adversaries were not in this playoffs. He viewed this, and the Bills viewed this as a huge opportunity for them to take a step further than they had previously. So I think that was a lot of what played into his emotion during that press conference. But I don't know, to get rid of Sean McDermott and then just go the safe route and promote Joe Brady. I'm not a huge fan of it, but at the same time, I'm not sure who I would rather them have hired externally. You know what I'm saying? I don't know who would have necessarily been the right hire for that team. Um, Ideally, I would like John Harbaugh to go there, but at the time, the timing wasn't right. So, what are your thoughts? Who do you think should maybe have been a better idea instead of Joe Brady?
I felt a little stuck on that as well. Like when I was like, I think that's a bad choice. And then I was like, whoa, who would you have put instead? And to be quite frank, I think they made that decision too quickly. I would have thought about it a little bit more.
Right.
I don't know who would have been a good fit. I feel like when you're talking about coaches like Harbaugh, I put McCarthy in that category too, Tomlin, they're very well established coaches and they have success, but they only have one ring. I think Harbaugh is a good choice for New York, but I feel like they're putting a lot of hopes and dreams on that man. And his track record can show that he can only take you so far, to be quite honest. So we'll have to see. I don't know, but I really thought they were going to take more time with that move. I thought that was a rash decision, and I didn't like that either. So I don't know where this really leaves the Bills. I don't think this is going to solve the problem because next year, well, I think next year is going to be a interesting year for the AFC because you have a lot of coaching changes, a lot of teams that are going to have, a different culture around them and you get people back. Pat Mahomes is going to be back. I'm not quite sure when in the season, but you
Or
know,
in what capacity?
but I don't think that the ghosts that Josh Allen has had to fight off, they're coming back. To be quite honest, you and I think both said it. This was the year. This was the year. You didn't have any of the competition you had before, and you fell apart. And that makes me sad
It
because I
does make
was
me
really
sad because
rooting for him.
it's easy to root for the Bills. Yeah, it's easy to root for
Hmm.
Josh Allen. It's
Hmm.
easy to root for the Bills. We've seen them fall short of success these last several years. So when you see it happen again in a year that a lot of people thought they could get over the hump without some of those elite quarterbacks in the playoffs, it hurts. It definitely hurts to see it. But as far as Joe Brady goes, maybe the Bills thought that if they didn't promote him soon, that another team would scoop him up. I mean, we've seen the Bills offense. When we look at the Bills and some of their failures over the in the playoffs over the last several years, I don't think offense has ever truly been a problem for them. Joe Brady has been a pretty good OC for them. So I'm wondering if they just wanted to give him that job so that nobody else kind of snatched him away from them.
I mean, that might be true. I mean, I think one of the trends we've seen is a lot of, usually you see with head coaching jobs, coordinators get promoted. And I think that some of that has happened, but I've been seeing a lot of like lateral moves where people are
Right.
just losing their OCs to different teams. Like, for instance, the Ravens hired Bears offensive coordinator Declan Doyle. to be their new offensive coordinator. And I
Yep.
think sometimes when you see those position changes, those people move, you do notice a difference in the offense. Like that made me think about that. And I was like, wow, I wonder what that offense is going to look like next year. And not that, like, to say, I mean, they do have Ben Johnson. So it's not that they don't have like an offensive mind running the show, but something like that, when you have a team that's done really well, a lot of times those pieces don't want to move. And so it's interesting to see somebody like that move to the Ravens. So,
And then on the other side of that, we had your man spent 2 seasons in Green Bay as the defensive coordinator there. Jeff Hafley
mhm.
went to the Miami Dolphins. They just hired him as a head coach. And last several years, Green Bay was top 10 in defense and a lot of stats. Ninth in yards per game, sixth in yards per play, eighth in points allowed. That's a top 10 defense there. So Miami Dolphins kind of switching lanes here, and they're going for a defensive minded coach, it looks like.
The Dolphins also took, or are taking, they're expected to take our linebackers coach too. And they took our president of player personnel. I was like,
Wow. Are they with
what is
Miami
even
Packers now?
happening? I guess. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting, but I will tell you, outside of Joe Brady, the person I was the most surprised about was the firing of the Vikings GM, which I did not have that on my radar.
I didn't have it on my radar either, but if you're Minnesota, you got to be looking at Seattle. Like, what did they do differently that we couldn't do last year? They both went 14-3. The Vikings went on the road to the Rams and lost that playoff game with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. And in contrast, the Seahawks went up against the Rams with Sam Darnold as their quarterback, and now they're headed to the Super Bowl. So that couldn't have been pleasant for the Minnesota hierarchy to watch happen and unfold right in front of them.
No, absolutely not. I mean, after I was shocked initially by it, and then the more that I thought about it, I was like, well, Sam Darnold of it all.
And you know what I'm saying? There's a common
Yeah.
denominator there.
Well, and you know what the thing is at the end of the day, they should not have gotten rid of that of him. You're talking about, like, yes, he for lack of a better term, Darnold at the end of the season, but I think the thing to look at is they had an amazing record, and you traded that for an unknown rookie? No.
I'm I'm gonna be fair to Sam Darnold here though, because everything is in hindsight, right? It's very easy for us to say that now that Sam Darnold is a week away from playing in a Super Bowl. But if Sam Darnold had lost that game last week, then we might have looked at the Vikings and not only lost the game, but Sam Darnold, right? The old
Mm-hmm.
Sam Darnold that we know, if he had
Mm-hmm.
played like that player, okay, the same way he played in that playoff loss against the Rams last year, if he had played like that, then we would have probably looked at the Vikings and said, okay, we
Could
get
you
it.
could you have imagined the NFC North with Sam Darnold playing like he did last season, playing like he did this season in the NFC North? If that happens, quite frankly, I don't even know. Green Bay doesn't even make the playoffs.
It's quite possible.
Like
It's quite possible.
that division, I've said it before. I think JJ McCarthy's a bust. I don't think he's going to do well. And honestly, anybody that gives himself like a moniker, like, I think he was calling himself like nine or whatever. And I'm like, who are you, Sasha Fierce? Like, what
Is
is
that too
this?
much?
It's too much. Keep that to yourself. Because now you've said it. And now everyone was like, well, where is this nine? What's even happening here? Nothing. Keep that to yourself, unless it's very effective. You know, Beyonce can say she's Sasha Fierce because that worked. She doesn't need to say it anymore. But, for a time, that worked. JJ McCarthy, keep that inside. That's an inside thought, not an outside thought. I will say Arliss made a good point last week when he was on the show. And he was talking about how Seattle really had his back this whole season. And I don't necessarily think he got that from the Vikings. Even if he would have stayed, I don't know if he would have had that same, if that team still would have had his back in the same way. I don't know. Justin Jefferson did say that he thought he would have caught some more balls, though, I believe. And I was
He did
like,
say that.
yep.
And let's be real, he's not wrong.
He is not wrong.
He's not wrong. You got Sam Darnold throwing you the ball versus JJ McCarthy throwing you the ball. That's two completely different dynamics.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me too that the Vikings ended the season on a 5 game win streak to finish above 500. I really wish I really want to know what Sam Darnold would have done year two on that team, but we'll never know. And the
No.
Seahawks are now in the Super Bowl because of the Vikings' folly.
You know what I think is kind of crazy is that the Seahawks offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, I think that's how you say his last name, is in talks to be the Raiders head coach. To which I say, let's not talk about that right now. Like, I don't like that kind of talk. Let them play and do what they need to do, and then like discuss it later. But
This is more stuff that bothers me,
yeah,
Ryan.
no,
Remember
it
what I was
bothers me as
complaining
well.
about
Yep.
last week? Mike McDaniels apparently wanted an interview for the Bills head coaching position after he had already agreed to be the OC for LA. Okay, this is like more that it's just weird. You don't, and the NFL is the only sport where I hear about this type of business going on with coaches already accepting jobs while they still have jobs. It's
Yeah.
such a,
Yeah.
and it's normalized. Like, can we
Hmm.
finish our Super Bowl run first with our guy before he's already thinking about
Yeah. Yeah.
fall of 2026? Like, I'm not a fan of that. And you're gonna announce it a week before the Super Bowl? Come
Hmm.
on now.
Yeah. I don't like that either. Because then what does that do to like player personnel too? Like that throws off a lot of vibes.
And morale, like, oh
Yep.
man,
Hmm.
like, okay, like we made
So
it to
this
the
is
Super
it.
Bowl this
Yeah.
year, but it's definitely gonna look different next year, guys. So you know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
that's I'm not a fan of that.
I don't care for it either. But I will say the one thing that I did like was Raheem Morris got a job. Thank you. Took long enough. I think he should have gotten one before now. But he's going to go to the 49ers and be their new defensive coordinator because Saleh left to be the head coach of the Titans. So,
Yeah, you mentioned that you were not happy with him being unemployed.
well,
And
you know,
I don't think he should have been. I don't think they should have let him go.
well, I
And then
think,
you
yeah.
hire Kevin Stefanski. That's your answer.
Hmm. Well, I just think it's very difficult to be a black coach in the NFL. Very difficult. And this is another example of that, which you can be on a semi win streak with your team. You know, you don't make it to the playoffs, but you're gaining momentum. And then you're fired and then replaced by another head coach who had a worse record than you did and has gone through 11 quarterbacks. To me,
It's embarrassing.
it's embarrassing. It doesn't make any sense. So happy Raheem Morris is back in working with Kyle Shanahan. This is the fourth time they've actually worked together. I think the 49ers they seem to be a very broken team at this time. So I don't know how
They're
they're going to
broken every
recover.
year. Every single year.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't wish that on them. I wish they were healthy because they went 12-5 this year, but they do that every year. They play through a bunch of injuries. They finish the season with a decent record, and enter the playoffs, and half their rosters hurt, and they get
Yeah.
bounced. That
Yeah.
happens every year. So it's hard to get excited about the 49ers because they just constantly are not whole.
Hmm.
But we got the Seahawks and the Ram in that division, so that's who I'm looking at for the
Yeah.
next few years.
I think so. I think it's going to be tough. I mean, I don't want to underestimate the 49ers because they do bounce back in some ways, but I think they need, I don't know what they need, but maybe Raheem Morris is it. We'll have to see. And then the other thing I noticed this week that Brian Dable is now the new offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. So
Meh,
we'll see how that goes.
it's the Titans. It'll take a lot for me to get fired up about the Titans, but
But I will
Cam
say,
Ward, I guess we'll see.
yeah, I Cam Ward is one of those ones where I feel like, are you going to get a fair shake? Like, are we going to actually see what you're able to do or not because of the team that you're on?
Maybe they think Dable's the answer.
You got a new head coach.
Todd Monken.
How you feeling about it?
I'm so torn, Ryan. Right? I wanted a young offensive-minded coach, but instead I got 60-year-old Todd Monken. But you know what? The last time the Browns reached the playoffs was in 2023, Ryan, and since then we've been 8-26. So I am trying not to be too picky here.
Hmm.
All those numbers were also under Kevin Stefanski. So I think any change is a good one at this point.
I mean, he did have a nice interaction with Shador, though. That was a nice interaction between the two of
Love
them.
that.
Yeah.
Loved that. That was more intimacy is not the right word here. What word am I looking for? That was more support
Hmm.
than I've seen Stefanski give Shador all season.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I love the interaction that I saw between Monken and Shador when they first linked up. That
Yeah.
was great. That was a wholesome moment right there.
It seemed very like familial, like very family oriented of, hey,
Mm-hmm.
like, come
Mm-hmm.
here, like very excited to see you. To me, I mean, I know that they'll go through the who's going to take the number one spot, but I got to tell you, based on that interaction, I got high hopes for Shador. And to be quite honest, he should be the starting quarterback. I don't even need to see anything from Dylan Gabriel, and I definitely don't need to see anything from Deshaun Watson.
Ryan, we've seen
So,
enough. We've seen enough from Dylan Gabriel.
no.
We've actually seen more than enough. Give Shador a full season under his belt. I'm so excited about what this team could potentially do. But they got to get him some weapons too.
Hmm.
Okay, they got to give him some options at the wide receiver position. I saw way too many drops um in the regular season for them. So it can't
Well,
just be him. They definitely have a defense. We all know they have Myles Garrett, but he needs a few options on the offensive side of the ball.
well, you may get those sooner than you think because free agency is coming up. And I
Woo-hoo.
see one wide receiver, George Pickens, is going to be a free agent. So could he be coming to the Browns? Maybe. I don't know. He's an iffy one for me if I think about George Pickens because obviously he's a good player. His skill set is not in question, but he's got some attitude stuff that I don't know.
It's
Doesn't
gonna be a turnoff for some teams.
doesn't sit right with me. I mean, honestly, quite frankly, I thought he was perfect for Dallas. They've got attitude for days. So I don't know why that
Dude,
might
can
not
we see
work
him?
out.
Can we see the Cowboys re-signing him? Do you think that could be a thing?
I don't know, maybe, but I think they probably wanted him and CeeDee Lamb to work better together, like better in tandem. And that I think didn't work as well as people wanted it to. So I don't know. I can't see. I mean, he's new to Jerry. He's not like I don't think he's like a Jerry guy. So he could probably be on his way out. We'll have to see. But free agency, there are some heavy hitters in this. Trey Hendrickson, edge for the Cincinnati Bengals. Wow.
I say
I
he has to be the best free agent this offseason, right?
I think he is. Yeah, I think he's ranked ESPN like ranked him number 1. And I think he is. I think the
Not
Browns,
surprising.
I mean, not the Browns. I think the Bengals definitely should re-sign him, but I don't know if they're going to. But he is an upgrade to any defensive line.
I've heard that
No
that's not
question
real.
about it.
I've heard that that's not really a reality.
Well, they don't like to pay
It look
people.
it look it looks like that relationship has been severed from what people have been saying, which I don't think the Bengals can afford to lose him. It's already a very precarious situation over there right now because Joe Burrow is looking this entire season. He's hinting at retirement. Okay, you have Jamar Chase,
Hmm.
you have T Higgins,
Hmm.
you have great options on the offensive side of the ball. You
Agreed.
you can't squander this window that you have with Joe Burrow, and you can tell he doesn't have the same passion that he had a few years ago when he was going toe to toe with Patrick Mahomes, and when he beat Patrick Mahomes to go on to his first Super Bowl.
Hmm.
He doesn't look like that same Joe Burrow. Some of that is injuries, but even when somewhat healthy and playing, that energy is not there. We gotta look at the Bengals and ask what's going on here, what's going on behind the scenes.
Hmm. Hmm. To me, the fact that you kept Zach Taylor, just I can't understand it. Can't understand it at all. That to me, that organization. just has a complete lack of like it's so sad to see so many great players really just not being able to make anything happen. And I feel for Joe. I mean, we'll have to see. I think it's too soon for him to retire. I'd like to see him at least maybe try another team before that route, but we'll have to see. Oh my God, imagine if he became available.
He would definitely have high demand from
Hmm.
teams. I've never felt like Zach Taylor was the problem on the Bengals to an extent though, right? Because that's a team for whatever reason, they're never ready to play at the beginning of the season.
Hmm.
The Bengals the last several years have known to have poor starts, terrible starts, which affects them because towards the end of the season they're always jockeying for position in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the last couple of years has burned them
To
terribly.
to me, that's coaching. Why is your team
That is
not
coaching.
prepared?
He
So
he definitely should be held responsible for that.
I
I
don't
agree.
think I don't think he shouldn't have a job somewhere. But the Bengals are not the fit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a team where like when we were initially going into this offseason and the firing started kind of, in December as it does. Um and I was just like, why are you still here? And I get it, it's because the, owner of the Bengals is very cheap. I think that to me does the biggest disservice to the team. And I think if they had a new coach, like imagine Sean McDermott coming into that team.
Ooh,
Okay.
ooh,
Okay. Joe
I like that.
Burrow gets a little more fire,
I would love
you
Sean
know?
McDermott with the Bengals. Yes.
That's a team. So we'll have to see. I mean, I think free agency, sometimes it's like, well, the Packers don't always do a lot of things in free agency. We do sometimes, but not all the time. So like I don't consider it to be like a very like stressful, exciting time. I just kind of like, oh, it's free agency. But, I think there are a lot of people available that people might be surprised about that could come on. Like I'm looking at Daniel Jones, is going to be a free agent. Where is he going to go? I don't know if the Colts will keep him, but also who else do they have? Anthony Richardson, who has like an eye problem and hasn't played since whenever.
Oh
Phil,
God,
Philip Rivers,
I
who
forgot all about
isn't
him.
there anymore. Yes. Philip Rivers, I think, is not coming back. Um, and then, that unknown kid, I don't know backups names very well. So who even knows who
I
he
can't even
is?
help you out this time on
See,
that
you
one.
can't even, it's not your man Stidham. You don't know who it is.
If it's
Um,
not Stidham, I don't know.
but, the Achilles injury with Daniel Jones, who did play well last season. Let's give credit where credit is due. He did surprise certainly the Giants fans by playing well. But that Achilles
He did in
injury,
13 games. He went 8-5.
that's wow. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have to see how he ranks. I will tell you, I am not happy with the Packers that are up for free agency because I think they're all going to go. And that's going to hurt my soul. So we're looking at Quay Walker, excellent linebacker, fantastic, did really great. Before Micah was there, did great after Micah was out. I think he holds a lot of that defense together. He could come back. I of the three that I'm about to share, he's the one I think that will come back. But, you know, he's probably going to test the waters and we'll have to see what happens. Malik Willis, ugh, RIP, that man is gone. Um, as he should.
I know that's
As
gonna
he
hurt
should.
you if he walks
But
away.
that
I know that's gonna
is
hurt
so
you.
upsetting to me because there's no greater feeling than knowing your backup QB is great. Like, don't like to see Jordan Love go out of a game, but Malik Willis is in. Okay. Not mad about it. He's going to get something
You've
done.
been Team Malik Willis for a long time now.
I love Malik Willis. I was team Malik Willis when we were playing Chicago that last time where I was like, just throw him in there. Who even cares? Just confuse people. Jordan was playing
Yes,
great, but
yep,
like,
you
let's
said it.
mix it up. So he, I think, is going to be out. And then Romeo Dobbs. I think we're going to let him go too, which makes me
Oh,
sad.
Romeo Dobbs is a free agent.
Yeah. I mean, we've got such a young receiving core. Like, I think there's a lot of growth in that area, but I don't know. He's so solid, though. I'm sad. I'm sad. But he has battled a fair amount of injuries. He's had some concussions. He wears like the big helmet. Um, which by the way, everybody should wear the big helmet. I know it doesn't look great, but like
Oh,
let's
I hate
protect
those helmets.
ourselves. Yeah,
I
but they
hate
need to
those
protect them.
helmets.
I think that's going to become mandatory soon. I know they look
You
silly,
think
but
so? I hope not.
well,
They're ugly. I want to watch the. If I'm watching the game, like it has to be aesthetically pleasing too. Those things are ugly.
okay. Well, apologies to Romeo Dobbs. Sir, I'm glad you're protecting yourself, but
Sorry, Dobbs. You in your helmet
um
catching strays, buddy.
I mean, I hope they all three of them stay, but Malik for sure is going to go. I think the other two might be more inclined to stay, but we'll see. But Malik is he'll go somewhere where he can get paid and that's good for him. You know, I don't want to he's done well for us. I don't want to like salt his game or anything, but I wish he would just take a pay cut and stay, you know? Unrealistic dreams. Well,
Let's get into the Super Bowl.
we can. I was actually going to say the last thing I was going to say about free agency is Rashid Shaheed is also going to be a free agent
He's on the.
2026.
What team is he on?
20 the Seahawks.
The Seahawks. Yeah.
Shaheen running it back,
Yeah.
becoming one of the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
dangerous special teams players since Devin Hester of the Bears. So
I hope the Seahawks do right by him and pay him.
I hope they do too.
I
And
hope
you
they
know
do right
what?
by him and pay him. Yeah.
With that being said, I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl. It kind of pains me to do so, but I am picking them to win.
I wish I could disagree with you, but no. I mean, I don't see the Patriots being able to pull it out. What I do love about the Super Bowl is that we got the two best teams in football going against each other. The Seahawks were the best team in the NFC, and the Pats, they did tie with the Broncos with the 14-3 record in the AFC, but undisputably the two best teams in each conference. So I do love that we got the two best records going up against each other because I want to see the best against the best. And I mean, two of the best defenses in the NFL as well. Like right, New England was ranked second in points per game allowed. Seattle was ranked third, right behind them. New England was ranked third in yards allowed per game. Seattle was ranked eighth, and then passing yards per game. New England fourth, Seattle eighth. They're both top 10 in like every statistic that you look at. They were the creme de la creme, the two best teams in football, and I can't wait.
Well, I don't think the Pats are the best team in the AFC. I mean, I don't believe that's true, but they got here. So I guess that's where we are with that. Honestly, if Bo Nix hadn't been hurt, this is a Broncos Seahawks game. But it is what it is. So now the Pats are going against the Seahawks, a rematch, as it were, which we mentioned last week. And hopefully they won't pass well at the 1 yard line. I'm going to keep bringing that up until they beat them in the Super Bowl. So I have one more week to talk about it. And
Well,
then I
while I
think I have to
do
give up.
agree with you that the Broncos probably would have beat the Patriots if Bo Nix was healthy, the Patriots are in the Super Bowl,
I know,
which
but I don't
means
like it.
they are the best team. There's no getting around that, okay? But what I've seen from them specifically in the postseason has worried me a little bit. It has worried me going into the Super Bowl against the Seahawks because offensively, the Patriots have not looked good. Okay.
No.
Out of the 14 postseason teams that made it into the playoffs, New England is just they're only 11th in yards per game.
Hmm.
And their offense has just not clicked. We know they had the quarter and a half of snow the last game they played against Denver. But the first half, we talked about how Drake
Hmm.
May looked, and he didn't look impressive in the first half of that game when conditions were fine.
Hmm.
So in contrast, the Seahawks, they're number one in points per game in these playoffs. They're averaging 36 points per game. Granted, they've only played two games, right?
Hmm.
But what I saw from Sam Darnold last week, there's nothing to make me believe that he's not going to go up against that Patriots defense and not do the same thing in the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And even if he can't score 36 points, do I have faith that the Patriots, with the 11th ranked offense in the postseason, are going to be able to score at least 30 points against that Seahawks defense? No, I don't have
Mhm.
faith in that right now.
Well, we'll have to see. Only 1 week away.
You know what does make me a little bit nervous though
Mm.
is because okay, we apologized to Sam Darnold last week, or
You
not.
did. I I don't even feel bad about it. Yeah, you did.
That much is apparent. I apologized to Sam Darnold last week because he performed extremely well against the Rams, and not only did he performed well when it mattered. Okay,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we were extremely skeptical
Hmm.
whether he could do that. And we had valid evidence to feel the way that we felt, which is why Ryan feels like she doesn't need to apologize to
Sure
him. And
do
I
not.
respect that. But when you dive into some of these numbers here during the regular season, okay, and I will give Sam Darnold credit for what he's done in the playoffs because he has bucked this trend that I'm about to mention. But Seattle as a whole in the regular season, they were second to last in giveaways to the other team. So in turnovers. They had 28 turnovers in total, but they led the league in fumbles with 13. And Sam Darnold himself, out of the 15 interceptions, he threw 14 of them. Okay, so
Mm.
he was not unblemished in this regular season. He hasn't thrown for any interceptions in the playoffs, so I'm going to give him credit where credit is due. But if we look at the totality of the work of the Seahawks this year, including the regular season, they had a propensity to give the ball away. Okay.
Hmm.
You cannot do that against this Pats team
No, no,
because
agreed.
while the offense has not looked good in the postseason for the Pats, the defense has remained good. And in no, there will be no bad weather this game for Drake May to rely on for an excuse. I expect them to play a little bit better this game. So you
Yeah,
can't afford to turn the ball over. You gotta hold on to the ball if you're the Seahawks.
agreed. Agreed. Well, moving on from one great matchup to the NBA, where another great may be retiring. I feel like we start this conversation about LeBron James every season earlier and earlier, but I feel like he hinted this week
That should be a sign. That should be a sign.
that, well, he spoke this week in a way that I haven't really heard him talk, which
Hmm.
is it does sound like he is signaling that the end is near. Now, that game against Cleveland, terrible. He had 11 points. I can't remember the last time LeBron just had 11 points. So, is it the end? Maybe. But I can't imagine he wants to go out in front of Cleveland like that.
Well, he cried, right? When they gave him
He did.
his
He did.
when they gave him his tribute, he cried. And I haven't seen him do that at a Cleveland game before. And this is not the first tribute they've given him, so let's keep that in mind.
True.
So
Very true.
that did feel a little bit different. But I mean, he's in the second year of a 2-year, $104 million contract. So he's an unrestricted free agent come this summer. This would be the time that you would think he would choose to walk away. Does he sign another contract? Maybe. For how many years? Probably not more than a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see him signing a 2-year deal anywhere. He's averaging the lowest amount of points since his rookie season. He's
Oof.
under 22 points a game this year. The Lakers have played 47 games. LeBron has played in 30 of them. So he's missed 17 games. I was actually impressed when I was kind of looking at games played the last few years. I kind of was under the impression that he had missed a lot of time the last few seasons before this one.
Hmm.
No, he played 70 games the last two seasons before 2025, 2026. that is impressive as fuck.
You know,
I did not realize that. So maybe that is kind of playing into some of the wear and tear that we're seeing from him this season.
well, all I heard this week is how he's given up wine to help his sciatica.
I saw that.
And I
I
was
saw
like,
that.
you know, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. And I didn't think that I would, but I am going to say it. LeBron James and I are the same age.
Wow.
And that hurts
That
my,
took a lot for you.
it did.
That took a lot for you.
It did. And I think sometimes what's hard about hearing that is that he has accomplished so much. And I am just me. But I don't have problems with my sciatica. So guess who's winning this
We
chick?
appreciate what
So,
you brought to the world, Ryan. Trust me.
well, you're welcome. Bringing you the rundown, perhaps
That's
some
right.
help in different areas. I am here,
If you buy
without issues
if
to
you
the
buy a boy a
sciatica.
donut.
Yes, I'm an
Uh-huh.
author. I mean, yeah, listen, I've accomplished some things as well. Maybe not to LeBron's heights, but I think that it is time. I think that it's time. I actually would like to see him not resign with the Lakers. And I would like to see him do like a 1 day deal with Cleveland, retire a calf.
This is year what for LeBron?
I think
23?
this, yeah.
To see this man play since I'm literally in grade school to being a full grown
Oh,
adult with an
don't
11
don't
year
do that.
old is
Not after I just said my age and
it's
you're like,
some
I've
things
watched
some
him
things
since
you some
grade school.
some things you can't hate on.
Not him being like, I was in grade school when he
Well,
started
listen,
playing.
I at
Me being
least
like, I was in college. Terrible.
that's still something. That's still something.
Yeah.
But my only hope for LeBron and his retirement is just that he lets the fans know.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
want it to come into the off season and then he decides to tell people he won't be coming back. I would even be okay. Okay, hear me out. I would even be okay if at this year's All Star break, and while we were recording this podcast, I actually just got a notification that he just got nominated to his 22nd All Star game. So congratulations, man. But I would be okay if at the All Star game he announced then that it would be his final season. So at least the second half of the season, he could do somewhat of a retirement tour or a
Hmm.
goodbye tour. Because I think the fans owe that to him, and he does deserve it. I know he gets a lot of hate, and he used to get a lot of hate from me too. But we gotta show love to these guys while they're still here while we can for sure.
Well, amidst all this talk, which to me is really sad because I do think, I mean, LeBron James is my generation Michael Jordan. In like that's the meaning of him. I think Michael Jordan is a better player than LeBron James, but I think that generationally that's who he is to me. So then to see ESPN then post a Instagram post with a picture of Bronny James saying heir to the throne.
It's too much, dog.
Let's be
It's too
serious.
much.
Let's be
It's too much.
absolutely serious. Has Bronny James improved since last season? Yes. Don't think anybody can say differently. Yes, he has. Is he his father? No. And he's never going to be his dad. Let's do him a favor and stop that comparison right now.
Two things can be true. Is Bronny James probably a solid professional NBA player? Like probably. He's probably in like the lower echelon of the league, but he's not going to be probably anything like his father was, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of us expect that from him, want that from him. His own father doesn't want that for him.
No.
So we shouldn't either. He made it to the NBA, which is an amazing accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
got to play on the same team as his father.
That's
Okay,
great.
can we like think about that? The other night I'm watching the game. Lakers are getting blown the hell out. Okay, I can't even remember the team they're playing. They're getting blown the hell out. They sub LeBron out for his son. Okay, think about that.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
subbed a player out for his son. Like this is something that we previously haven't seen and may never see again because it's so iconic and so historic. So I think that piece of history is should be enough for Bronny
Mm-hmm.
James to continue his career. I don't think he
Mm-hmm.
should live his career trying to be like his dad because his dad is the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, an NBA where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar existed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not gonna fault you if you can't live up to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's hope he doesn't go the same route as Paul George, who just got suspended for 25 games for
Oh
violating the
no,
anti-drug
PG.
policy.
No. You hate to see it.
Apparently, he took an improper medication.
Are we buying that?
Well,
It's so hard to say when it comes to stuff like this. And you see this a lot with steroids in baseball. Oh, it was an improper medication. Oh, my doctor told me that this was okay.
I mean, the thing is if you're so he linked it to mental health, that he's been experiencing some mental health issues. He wants treatment, he's getting treatment. So, in my mind, that tells me that you took a stimulant that you shouldn't have taken. Because nobody's going to get mad that you're taking Lexapro for depression. That's not performance enhancing in any way, shape, or form. I mean, you might feel better, but like that's not that's not going to give you some insane boost. But a stimulant will. So why did he? I mean that, and that is pure speculation on my part. I want that to be known. But that's the only thing that I can come up with that he took. So he took something like Ritalin or Adderall, which, I mean, but if you have the proper diagnosis for that and the paperwork for it, it should be okay for you to take that medication. But you didn't have the proper paperwork for it. I'm so confused. So I'm not fully buying this. And I think the saddest part is that I think when the Sixers got Paul George, they were really expecting him to do really great things. And that hasn't really come to fruition. And this just
Ryan, let's
feels
be real. You're being polite. Okay,
okay. All right. I'm being polite.
he's been terrible for them since
Okay.
they signed him. He's been awful. Okay, just call it what it is
I'm
for
trying to
real
be
though.
like
Like
diplomatic over here. You're
no,
like, he
he's been
sucked, Ryan.
absolutely terrible. This year he's averaging 16 points. That's his lowest in a full season since 2011, 2012. We
Oof.
understand he's getting older, okay? But those numbers back in 2011, 2012, he was still a backup for Danny Granger. And I know Pacers fans remember Danny Granger, okay? Because Paul George was the heir apparent to him once Danny Granger got hurt. Last year for the Sixers, he played in half the games. He played in 41 games and he averaged 16.2 points.
Mhm.
That's not the player that they signed. They expected more of the player that played for the Clippers. Now, he was averaging over
Mhm.
22 points a game when he was with the Clippers, when he was playing with Kawhi Leonard and James Harden on that team. And he still was able to average over 20 points. So you got Tyrese Maxey in Philly, you got Joel Embiid, and Paul George was supposed to be that third person, but they didn't expect that third person to only average 16 points per game and missed half the season last year, only playing 27 out of 47 games this year, and now you're suspended for the next 25. So he's slated to maybe come back the last 10 games or so of the season.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's been a mess since the Sixers signed Paul George. And it makes me sad because I was a Paul George fan. I remember Paul George when he went to OKC and he was playing with Russ. One of those years, he averaged 28 points per game and he was in MVP talk that year. I remember that's the Paul George that I remember.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
now to see him these last few years in Philly and now this news about him getting suspended 25 games, the downfall needs to be investigated.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, listen, I hope he gets it together and gets whatever help he needs if that is actually what's happening. But what a disappointment for Philly. Philly just
Huge.
getting
Where does
disappointed.
that leave? Where does that leave Philly now? They got a stud in Tyrese Maxey. I believe he's either leading the league in scoring or second in the league in scoring. I know he's probably second because I believe Luke is leading the league in scoring, but
Ugh.
Tyrese Maxey is that guy. Okay, you got Joel Embiid, who I've been ragging on Joel Embiid for a long time now. Okay, I was about to put a time on it, but whatever time I was gonna put on it, you're probably gonna have to double it because that is a player that can't stay on the court, and it's quite frustrating to see. And I was kind of getting tired of the comparisons of him to Nikola Jokic. Don't get triggered, Ryan. But Jokic is the
I
better
kept it to
player.
myself.
Jokic is the better player, so I didn't like a lot of the Joel Embiid comparisons, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't I didn't think he should have won MVP over Jokic the year he won MVP. But with that being said, he's been on the court more this season, especially lately, and he's been balling. He
Mm-hmm.
has been
Mm-hmm.
balling. He's more looking like the Joel Embiid that we're used to seeing. He looks healthy. He looks slimmer. He looks spry. He's been looking good. So you have him. You have Tyrese Maxey, who's been a stud all season. So Paul George was supposed to be that last missing piece for this Sixers team to make noise in the East that's kind of wide open. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is a year where it's kind of any team in the East that could show some consistency might be able to make some moves in the postseason. But Paul George will be back in time for the playoffs. Do we think the last 10 games or so is going to be enough for them to mesh as well as they should with those
Mm.
three? It'll be tough.
Yeah.
It'll be tough. But
Yeah.
Paul George did this to himself and putting his team in his position. It's just the latest in another line of fiascos for the 76ers.
Well, speaking of meshing, where do you think Giannis is going to go? And who do you think he's going to mesh best with? I have a feeling you're going to say your Warriors. I shouldn't say your Warriors because you're a Nets, but I feel like, do you think he would give Steph the help that he needs?
Are we being serious?
I mean, I'm
Good.
posing the question. I already know the answer. I just need to hear you say it. This is what makes for good podcast commentary.
Giannis and Steph, like I've been asking for this for a few years now. A few years now. And Steph hasn't had he's really never had a player like Giannis. Okay, when Steph paired up with KD, KD was like a bigger than Steph, but he's not a traditional big because
Hmm.
he's a five level scorer. You hear about three level scorers. KD's a five level scorer. Okay, he's gonna get you from anywhere, but he's not a traditional big.
Hmm.
And Giannis isn't a traditional big, but he's a big. Let's not get it
Hmm.
twisted. Giannis is a big, and Steph has never had a player quite like that. So you got Giannis on the inside. Nobody's going to be able to stop him. You got him screening for Steph from the outside. Nobody's. And what are you going to do? You're going to double Steph, and then what? You're going to leave the Greek freak to be open. Well, you're going to double him, and somebody's going to be open on the perimeter.
Hmm.
And the Warriors don't have great shooting, but they have competent shooting.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
the Steph and Giannis uh this pairing has to happen. Now, a lot of people are speculating that Draymond Green could be a key piece in this trade. Now, he was asked the other day how he felt about being a potential piece in the Giannis trade, and he said straight up, he said, "Listen, this is a business. Now, does he want to get traded? No." He said that obviously, like he's been with the Warriors for I believe 14 years now.
Hmm.
Kind of crazy to say that out loud, but he understands what he means to this franchise, but like he said, this is a business at the end of the day. And the Warriors realize how small the Steph window is at this point. They realize that he only has a few years left. So they're trying to not only maximize this Steph window for the last few years of his career, but also we got to remember Giannis is only 30 years old.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
he's in his prime right now. So not only are you going to try to build a small championship window around Steph Curry, you're also going to try to build a future around Giannis Antetokounmpo. So the Warriors are primed in a position to do that. They have NBA capable players that are ready now to be in a lineup. They have a lot of draft picks. So people are looking at them as the number one team to look at when it comes to a trade for Giannis.
Well, I hope he goes there. I think that would be a good fit for him. I mean, I know the Heat, the Wolves, and I think is there another East Coast team that's interested?
You said the Heat, right?
I said the Heat,
The
Timberwolves,
Knicks have
and the
been
Knicks.
floated around. Yep. Remember what I said,
Yeah, I
Carl
know.
Anthony
I
Towns?
know.
Remember what I said,
You better be
buddy?
careful. Yeah, I don't know. I think any team that picks up Giannis is obviously going to get a boost. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes, and it'll be interesting to see what the deal entails and who else had to move as a result. I It's so interesting. NBA trades are so interesting because there's so much more movement than there is in the NFL. Like I think you can look at like the Micah Parsons trade and like, yeah, Kenny Clark was involved in that, but it was a lot more about draft picks. And I feel like in the NBA, there's like multiple players that are moved at one time as a result of
Well, that's
trades.
because in the NFL, draft picks are so
Yeah.
they are they have such an effect on your team's success.
Hmm.
Draft picks are so important in the NFL, and they are so impactful on your team's success. And the NBA draft picks are very, very impactful and they are important, but it's not always a sure thing with
Hmm.
draft picks in the NBA, especially if if you're a 25th, 26th, 27th pick. It's a lot less sure than
Hmm.
if you're like a lottery pick. So you see NBA ready players moved more so than you do draft picks. Although the last few years, draft picks have I've seen draft picks have played a very very big role
Hmm.
in some of
Hmm.
these trades. But I think a large part of that is the talent now coming out of college is so much better than it's ever
Yeah.
been before.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys could go. Cooper Flag could have gone straight to the NBA. Okay, let's be real.
Hmm.
He dropped 49 points last week, people. Do we think that he didn't have that in him a year ago? Because I do. He dropped basically 50 points. Okay, a lot of these players coming out of high school, they're ready to go now.
Hmm.
So, yeah, the last few years, these draft picks definitely they're holding a little bit more weight.
Yeah. Well, we shall have to see. But moving on to this week's Fair or Foul, no replays, no excuses, just the takes. I said last week that I didn't know if Ray and I were going to be friends after the Derrick Rose discussion. And I find myself at a crossroads yet again when we discussed what we were going to do for this segment. And we decided to do Bill Belichick and the Hall of Fame fiasco. And he said to me, "Do we not agree on this?" And I said, "I don't think we do." So
I'd love to hear your stance on this, Ryan. So what's your take on this Bill Belichick not being inducted first ballot into the NFL Football Hall of Fame?
I think we can agree that he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Okay. I think that will happen. I don't think that's debated. But I looked around at the firestorm of discussion about this. ESPN had like lost its mind on multiple programs. And I thought, I'm not quite sure why so many of you are surprised because Bill Belichick is a cheater, period. So you can look at him and say he's the greatest coach of all time with his Super Bowl wins, but he's also a cheater. And that doesn't sit well with people. So I was not entirely as shocked as the rest of the nation seemed to be about this. Again, I think he will get inducted. He was only one vote short, which I thought was kind of hilarious. But I'm not mad about this. And quite frankly, I think a lot more people need to be more objective about it.
Who's a lot more people? Well, I
The entire
objective.
sports community about this.
The entire sports community is objective about this.
They are not objective about it.
Wow. If a majority of people are on one side of a subject, then we can agree that that means that most people are objective on the subject. There are people that don't like the Patriots who think that Bill Belichick should have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. You do understand that, right?
I
That
do.
is
I
like that is
don't think it's
like
great though.
that's the definition of objectivity there.
So let me ask you this. I take it by this. You do think he should have been first round in. No question.
There's no debate.
There
There's
is a
no
debate.
question. There's no question about this.
I
Yes.
I think that that's silly. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
Okay. So Bill Belichick has been involved in two different cheating scandals. One was
Okay.
Spygate that happened in like the aughts, and then the other is Deflategate. Now, Deflategate, I think, has been more on Tom Brady than it was on Bill Belichick. I think that's who caught the most flack for that. But as a result of these cheating scandals, they have won Super Bowls. Now, I'm not taking away the athleticism of those Patriots players. I'm not saying that the coaches have not worked hard, but I am saying we may need to take a deeper look at the actual wins that they've gotten and were they fair?
No, we don't.
We don't have to do that?
We don't, Ryan. We don't. And you know why we don't? When did Spygate take place?
So it happened in 2007 when the Patriots, it was found that they were videotaping hand signals of other coaches illegally. And that caused them to have fines on both the team and Belichick. Belichick kind of said, "Hey, I didn't really understand the rule of this, so sorry, my bad." And they lost like a draft pick.
Is that all that happened? Because I remember Bill Belichick got fined about $500,000 for that.
Mm-hmm.
500K.
Mm-hmm.
So he got punished. It's not like the league swept this under the rug. Am I correct?
Ray,
Okay.
they
What
were
you said that
videotaping.
happened in you said that happened in 2007?
That's when they got caught, but they had been doing
Okay.
it since 2000.
Okay.
So
So
you've been
one
cheating. No,
one
no, no. You've been
no
cheating.
no no,
You've
hear
been
me
doing
out.
illegal. No, 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 no. Fine. I'll hear you. I'll hear you out.
So they get caught for this in 2007, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one might think, I mean, even you said it, maybe some of that cheating directly led to wins, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what do the Patriots do? They go on to win a Super Bowl in 2015, 8 years later, right? Same coach, same quarterback. They win a Super Bowl in 2017, and then they win another Super Bowl in 2021. So Spygate was long over. The Patriots still were winning championships, still winning Super Bowls, still making the playoffs every single year with the same coach, with the same quarterback. So at what point are we going to stop blaming Spygate for the Patriots' success?
Well, if you take Spygate into account, you would have to really revoke 2002, 2004, and 2005 Super Bowl championships. And then you're only left with three. And if then you take the Deflategate one, which you should take that away from them, then you're only left with two. So
And
are
guess
you the
what?
greatest coach? No, you are not.
And guess what, Ryan? You still got two championships. Most people would still have inducted him first ballot Hall of Fame with only two, and
What?
he had eight,
Let me let me
eight,
let me pose
Ryan,
this
eight
question.
in total, eight in total,
Let
the most
me
ever.
let me pose this question to you. Why is Barry Bonds never going to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame?
I knew you were gonna go here, and that's completely different.
No, it's not.
That is
Cheating is cheating.
completely
Cheating
different.
is cheating. No, no, no. Mm-mm.
That is so different. First of all, when you look at baseball, the people who gatekeep the Baseball Hall of Fame, they're all so entrenched in wishing that baseball was still the way that it was in the 1960s. Like baseball is its own like universe when it comes to the Hall of Fame and preserving the history of the game. So I don't look at baseball the same way that I look at the NFL, and I think the Hall of Fames are completely different, completely different. And when you look at Barry Bonds and the whole steroid situation, it's like I don't agree with that. Okay, I don't agree with them keeping Barry Bonds out of the Hall of Fame either. The same way with Bill Belichick. I don't agree with that, and I don't think Barry Bonds should be held out of the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds is one of the greatest. Some may debate the greatest hitter of all time. Steroids or no steroids. Most people say he's a Hall of Famer even without the steroid use. So I'm a person that says that Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. And I'm an Alex Rodriguez fan. I wish Alex Rodriguez was in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the reasons I grew up loving baseball. So maybe I'm not the person to look at and try to compare the two
So
because I wish all these guys are in the Hall of Fame.
so you don't have any problem with spying on other teams and videotaping them illegally.
Of course, I have a problem with it,
But
but two
all
things
but
but two things
everything
can be
that you
true. I
just
can have a problem with it and want the team punished, which they were, which Bill Belichick was punished for that, and still look at the totality of his
it was a
career and
slap on
say
the
this
wrist.
this shouldn't exclude you from being a first ballot Hall of Famer. And while we both agree that he is going to be a Hall of Famer, to take being a first ballot when you're a first ballot Hall of Famer in any sport, that sets you apart from everybody else in that Hall of Fame. This says I did something that not just any Hall of Famer could do. Okay. I did something that put me in the upper echelon of players, coaches, the history of this game. I did something that not a lot of people can say that they have done in this game. And the voters took that away from Bill Belichick, what, over something that happened nearly 20 years ago that he was punished for already. And then he went on to win three more Super Bowls post that controversy. Come on.
You cannot say that you support Bill Belichick being in the Hall of Fame as a first round ballot and then be like, yeah, well, he did cheat. That negates his greatness. That negates everything about it because you cheated your way to get there. You didn't get there on merit. You got there on cheating. And the fine that he got and the draft picks that they lost was slap on the wrist. And that is not on Bill Belichick. That's not even on the Patriots. That's on the NFL commissioner. That's on Roger Goodell, who should have taken a much stricter stance on this. This was absolutely ridiculous. And for us to just pretend like this didn't matter, that it didn't influence games, that it didn't change their Super Bowl, projection to win is unequivocally absurd. Also, you didn't win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. So, could you win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady? We'll never know. Probably not. I'm looking at you in North Carolina. Your team's playing like absolute shit. So, are you a good coach or are you just really good at cheating and hiding it? Like, we
That's
cannot
that's not
not
that's
talk
not fair
about
to the
this.
that's not fair to the Patriots. You
And if anybody
I
should
would be on
be,
your side if the Patriots didn't have any success after that controversy came out. But you can't look at their not okay, they had the Super Bowl championships, yes, but they were in the postseason every single year. And they can't win a Super Bowl every single year, right? But they're in the postseason every year. And that was a huge like fuck you to the league, I think, on their part. Okay, so you thought that us cheating directly led to how successful we were. Okay, well, here, how about this? And they continue to be successful year after year after year, championship after championship. He has 6 rings, Ryan. Okay, that's something that no other coach has done in the history of the game,
but you
in the
can't,
history of football.
but you can't say that all of that Spygate and Deflategate didn't influence their ability to get there. You can tell me all the time about what a great team they are, but because of what? Because of what? You can't negate that this was a problem. You can't negate that this is an issue. And for people to just think that people should just shut up about it because he has 6 rings? No. You know why? He didn't get first ballot Hall of Fame because Bill Belichick is a dick. And to be quite honest, while Hall of Fame is about merit and skill, it's also a popularity contest. You weren't popular enough, Bill. You pissed too many people off. You're a cheater and a liar. And you can't win without Tom
Well,
Brady.
well, then something's wrong with the system then, because it shouldn't be a popularity contest. That's not the way it should be. And if that's the way it's gonna be, then the NFL should look at doing things differently when it comes to the Hall of Fame selection process, because that's not what it should be.
So
Bill
you don't,
Belichick has done too much for the game of football over the course of the last 25 plus years to disrespect him. It was disrespectful.
It's not
It
disrespectful.
was extremely
It's not
disrespectful for
disrespectful.
them to not have him as a first ballot Hall of Famer. Are we serious? So it's not disrespectful, right? So once Tom Brady is up for his selection into a Hall of Fame, they should also leave him out for a year, Ryan.
I think that Tom Brady showed that he could win without Bill Belichick. I think
By winning
Deflategate
one
should be
championship on a team that was already ready for a competent quarterback.
I think you can look at Deflategate and maybe hold him back. I think that that's really problematic. Nobody really cares enough about that. He was at least suspended. I think they gave him more of a punishment than they gave Belichick, so maybe he served his time. I don't think people will hold that against him though, so I don't think it'll really
So, but why
matter
are we not holding it against Tom Brady if we're going to hold it against Bill Belichick?
because
That's the
Bill
part that's not making sense to
Belichick
me. And he got punished. He didn't get punished in maybe the way you saw fit, but the league didn't just act like it didn't happen. He did get punished. The team did get punished. What like what why do we want to hold him accountable in this way almost 20 years later?
because he is a professional football coach and he should be held to a higher standard than most coaches because of everybody in the NFL, all head coaches should be held to a higher standard. When we're just saying that we don't really care that they illegally filmed people for 7 years that resulted in 3 Super Bowls, are you kidding me with this? Are you kidding me? People will say, oh, well, you can't say that, like, he just won because of that. And I say, you can't say that he didn't. So
You
what are we really
can.
saying? You
You
know,
can because he won in 2015, he won in 2017, and he won in 2021. So yes, you can definitively say he didn't only win because of the cheating
but
that
you have to
resulted from
understand. But no, no, no.
Spygate.
If that's the first time that he got caught, how much more do you think he fucking did? No, I'm not going to have this discussion. I think this is absolutely ridiculous that we're not holding him to a higher standard. And I think that it's absolutely horrible that people are bullying people for voting the way that they wanted to. Get out of here. This
I
is
think it's terrible. I think it's a terrible
no.
look for the NFL, and I think it's a terrible look for the Hall of Fame.
I think what was a terrible look
Absolutely,
that the NFL
absolutely
didn't take a
deplorable.
stricter stance. And to be quite frank, when that happened with Spygate, he should have been banned from the league. And I'll say that, and I'll say, you know who else should have been banned from the league? Sean Payton with that bounty hunting shit. He also should have been banned from the league. But no, we're not going to do that. At least he got a year where he didn't coach, but he should have been banned as
How
well.
much of this is your Green Bay fandom right now? How much? I can hear the pain. I can hear that Packers pain in
I'm
your
not,
voice.
no. I mean, to be
Tom
quite
Brady must have
frank,
did something to your team.
no, no, no. I don't actually have as like because Tom Brady and all of those people are in the AFC, we barely played them. We barely saw them. I'm mad because what this does is it lessens the integrity of the game. You're rewarding shitty behavior. Well, they're actually not, and you're mad that they're not rewarding it. I I think Bill Belichick will get into the Hall of Fame. And quite frankly, I didn't, if he would have gone in first ballot, like I would have thought, oh, well, that's a shame because they're putting a cheater in there. But I would have just kind of shrugged my shoulders because we've been doing this with the Pats for so long where we just don't care. They can behave any way they want to behave. We don't care. But they're winning Super Bowls. But at what cost? At what cost? To the integrity of the game? And why is it so easy for us to say, yep, Barry Bonds can't ever get into the Hall of Fame? But then, like
It's not easy
this,
for me.
I feel the NFL consistently does not give people big enough consequences for actions. That's across the board. And even so, with like Spygate, one of the things that made it so terrible was that the commissioner, Goodell, just did not handle it well at all. And they actually ended up destroying a lot of evidence about what type of tapes the Patriots had. So the league doesn't really know what they knew and what they didn't because that information wasn't made public. So this was handled poorly on a lot of different fronts. And that doesn't necessarily fall on the Patriots. But to me, this, when we don't have heavy consequences for behavior, especially cheating, what does that say about our sport? How can we have integrity in the sport when we're allowing this to happen? So it's a bigger issue than Belichick, yes.
This
But
makes me look at Major League Baseball and knowing their history with a lot of these steroid users. I think about the Houston Astros cheating scandal from
Mm-hmm.
when they were exposed
Mm-hmm.
the 2017 year, and it makes me think, how are they going to treat Jose Altuve when he's up for Hall of Fame consideration? How are they going to treat a lot of these players? Carlos Correa, a lot of the players that were there for that scandal, you know? And as a Yankee fan, this might seem a little double standardish, but I don't want Jose Altuve in the Hall of Fame because I'm not. He directly led my team to not being able to play in a World Series. So it's not that I don't see where you're coming from about the cheating with the Patriots, but I just think Belichick has done so much prior and after the scandals that he was involved in that you can't look at those scandals and say that that was the crux of their success. I think he's proven to be successful outside of that way too much, and
But
I think he should have been a first ballot. I do.
I think the thing is that I think by the same token, where you say to me, that can't be the only thing you're basing it on because look at how much success they've had. I think what I would counter that to say is, why the hell do you think they've had that much success? They cheated their way to get there. And I know that that does this. I'm not trying to do a disservice to the players. And I feel like that's how it comes out is that the team is punished for a coach's decision. But quite frankly, he should have been banned from the league. And honestly, even if he was banned from the league after that, I think the Pats still would have won Super Bowls because they had the player personnel to do it. I actually
I
don't
don't,
think
I
Belichick.
don't think so. I
I
don't think
I
so.
do. I don't think Belichick factors in as much to those Super Bowl wins as people think that he does. I really don't. So you and I are going to have to agree to disagree on this one.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. It's pretty
I know.
foul.
Well, I think it's pretty fair. I I think this whole thing, this, you know what, we don't even need to do a trash cans today because I think that both you and I
I was
believe this
fired up about this
situation is
Belichick
trash
thing this
cans.
week. That's right. I was very, very fired up about that. I was not happy
Everybody
this week.
was. It took like,
Yeah.
I don't know how many segments they had on First Take about it, but it was like everybody had everybody had an
Dog,
opinion. And
dog. I got the notification when it happened, and I immediately texted you. I'm like, I got the trash cans for this week.
I know. And then I was like, no, 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 no. I think we need to debate this one. I think we
Yeah,
need to
no, for
debate
real.
it. But I do think, are people going to, I think the thing is that everybody thought, then the next thing was, oh, are they going to do this to Tom Brady? They're going to bring up Deflategate. No, I don't think they will. I think this is different. I think this is different.
We're not seeing eye to eye on this one.
No. But I will think that as a result, they will change the system. And shout out to that one guy from Kansas City who came out and said why he didn't vote for him. At least he was
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, fuck him.
No, that he was voting for other people because he thought they deserved a chance.
He's
My
full
God.
of it. He's so full of shit. I don't
He
believe
just
that.
didn't vote for him because he didn't like him.
Yep. That is the most
You know
likely
what?
outcome.
I actually think that that's really
That is the
funny.
most likely outcome.
I wonder if this is the first time that, like, or one of the first times where a big person has not gotten a first round ballot just because people are like, I don't really like him. I mean,
That's
Terrell
what I
Owens,
feel
that
like
was a
it
problem
is.
too, but
Yeah, Terrell Owens got snubbed, and that was an issue. But this is probably the biggest one I've heard since then.
yeah.
Like there's okay, like you got to think about it like this. There's probably three likely outcomes here, right? Like for the voters, a bunch of them like might have already assumed that he was in, right, and voted for somebody else,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? The
Hmm.
11 we're strictly talking the 11 people that didn't vote for him,
Yeah.
right? So a bunch of people probably assumed he was in and didn't vote him in, and then there were people on the ballot that were like less likely to get in than
Hmm.
him.
Yeah.
So like maybe they got voted for. And the other option is just that people didn't like him because they thought he was a cheater like you. And I feel like that is the most likely reason he didn't get voted in. I know what the guy from the Chiefs said. I'm not buying it. You didn't vote for Belichick because you feel like Ryan do. You think he's a cheater. Stand on business. Say what it is.
Well, I mean, I think that that opens the discussion. I just think, I think for people to, you can be in shock about this. You can think it's the wrong decision, but for you to not think that Spygate and to a lesser degree, Deflategate shouldn't have played a part in that decision is silly. Of course it did. And it should have, because you're looking at a coach as a whole. You're looking at this person holistically. And at the end of the day, they cheated. Like you said, both things can be true. Well, if both things are true, then you have to take them both into account. And some people thought that the cheating weighed heavier than the victory. That's all I'm saying.
Trash can. That's how I feel about it. It's trash can.
Well, I don't know. Are we still friends, Ray? After this and Derek Rose, are we going to make it?
These last 2 weeks have not been good for us.
They really haven't. We're going to need to
They have
find.
not. They've not been good. We got to find some common ground going forward because I have not been happy with your answers the last couple of weeks.
I haven't been happy with yours. I thought we were on the same side. I thought we had things in common.
The
Well,
only thing I'm happy about right now is February 1st at the time of this recording and February 21st, 20 days from today, players going to start reporting for spring training.
we can agree on that.
We definitely can agree on
We
that.
can agree on that.
Baseball's back soon, guys.
And we can agree on our Super Bowl picks because we're both picking the Seahawks. So, okay.
Drake May, you looked good all season. You were an MVP candidate. You led the Patriots to one of the best records in the league. I think your success comes to an end next Sunday.
Mm-hmm. But you'll be back. You'll be back. I don't think
You
this
will
is
be
the
back.
only
The
appearance.
Patriots are built
Yeah.
for success the next few
I
years.
agree.
So,
I
yeah.
like this coach a lot more than Belichick. So, good job,
We'll see.
guys.
We'll see though. The game still has to be played,
True.
and
True.
I can guarantee that most of America is picking the Seahawks in this game. So you got to imagine that Drake May is going to come into this game
Well,
hearing a lot of that noise and
yep.
trying to make a statement.
Yep. So, we'll be back next week to talk more about the Super Bowl and Bad Bunny performing. Get excited. I know I am.
Almost forgot about that. Dale, dale. Oh wait, that's a Pitbull thing. We'll
I
ignore
think that's
that. See
Pitbull.
y'all next week.
All right. Later.